Welcome everyone, this is Yvonne Davis and David Steele of the Rocky Mountain Compassionate Communication Network. We are doing week 4 of Unleash Your Creativity, a combination of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron and Nonviolent Communication as developed by Marshall Rosenberg, PhD. So, like I said, we're in week 4. That's recovering a sense of identity. So today
it was integrity.
Oh, right, integrity. So today we're going to talk about whether your words have meaning. I mean, yeah, whether they have power, whether they have meaning, or if they're just like meaningless, blah 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 blah. You know, like I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and nothing ever happens.
Blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah.
So we are exploring today, what kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be the kind of person whose words have meaning and power? Or do you want to be the kind of person who is basically a flake? That's not nonviolent communication. We don't call people flakes, so just forget I said that, okay? Alrighty, so anyway, yeah, that's the question of the day. Do you want your words to actually have meaning and power? If you say something, do you really follow through? Or is it just meaningless sound waves coming out of your mouth? So I guess maybe what we need to do is start talking about why this matters. And I don't know, do you want to take over from here and talk about why it matters?
Oh, you're going to let me take over? From here?
I'm having doubts now.
Talk about, okay, so one could say that our reality, that the world, the way we perceive the world, the way we metabolize it, the way we cognize it, the way we recognize it, is a narrative. And words, more than anything else, in my opinion, sculpt the way we experience reality as human beings. There's the instinctual stuff that doesn't require language, that just lives in our bodies. But the narrative, the way that we describe, has a huge impact on how we perceive. And when our descriptions, when way we use language is vague, non-specific, and disconnected from the concrete, from the physical, then our reality and the way we perceive it is fuzzy. And the result of that is insecurity. Because we're not sure we could trust the world, because there's that sense of foundation is not there. When our language is specific and directly relates to our experiences in a concrete way, and is a true expression of what's dear to us, then our reality has clarity and has substance. And we feel we have a sense of being able to trust it. And so we experience confidence. So that's why words matter. That's why what we say matters. So back to you.
Okay. So, I guess for me, I first addressed or came in contact with this idea when I read the books of Carlos Castaneda and the warrior teachings of Don Juan Matus. And I never really thought about it before. You know, I mean, I'd studied manifestation a little bit, and so I knew that you could speak an intention, and then the speaking of it could make things happen. So I'd at least seen it at work on that level, but I didn't fully understand it until I started reading Carlos Castaneda's books and really paying attention to the warrior teachings. And then I started to understand, because he said that warriors' words have power. The average person's words don't have any power. And that's because the average person changes their mind if they feel like it. You know, they don't have enough of a sense of integrity and authenticity and self-awareness to actually know what they're going to do, and then to speak it out loud. It's not just to themselves, but to, you know, others, and then to follow through. And I, even though I understood it like on a theoretical level, I didn't really get it until I caught myself saying certain things, like often it would be something around money, like I can't afford that. I don't have that much money. You know, different phrases like that. But what was most interesting about it was the circumstances under which I would be saying it were very emotionally charged. So it wasn't a casual thing, you know. And you know, I'm willing to admit that these are some of the things that I'm working with personally, because as I've said on this in this video program, my my creative blocks, or whatever it is, my creative project that I am trying to bring about through this program, has to do with my career. So it's not just a specific project. So it's not just writing or teaching a workshop or making a video or anything like that. It has to do with how that creative work translates into my career, because it's really important to me. It's something I want just as much as somebody who wants to write a book wants to actually sit down and start putting words on the page, or somebody who wants to paint or draw. They actually want to sit down with their tools and create an image on the canvas or on the paper. And when we have this intense desire, and then we don't see it manifesting in our lives, it can be really devastating and heartbreaking. You know, it's not a simple thing. I think it's part of what it means to be human. You know, it's part of our soul's desire to be able to impact this world that we live in a way that is meaningful to us. And when we see that we're not able to do that, it can be really devastating. So I'm sharing with you, you know, what it is specifically that I am trying to create, which is comfortable living income from the work that I'm passionate about and work that I've been developing for over a decade, and that I feel called to do. So that's my my creative work. So money is tied into that. You know, it's not just like, oh, I can give a workshop, or I can make a video, or I can write a book. And that's all fun and good. I've done plenty of that and I love it. But I also want the reciprocation. And it doesn't have, at least I haven't experienced it happening magically. You know, it takes a lot of work. It's far more work than I ever imagined to be a self-employed entrepreneur, supporting yourself 100% from your own business, and have a standard of living that you are satisfied with. So to be able to speak about what I'm going to do and speak about money in a way that manifests what I actually want instead of manifesting what I don't want. That's a skill that will change my life. So it's not a simple thing. It's not like saying, I don't know. Well,
you can say this.
yeah,
I
can say I don't know, but I was thinking, like, I kept thinking, well, what kind of things could I compare it to? And I was like, oh, quitting smoking, quitting drinking, well, wait a minute, those things are actually pretty hard to do. So, but I meant something simple.
Buying something with a credit card. That's very simple.
Yeah. Okay. Not buying something with a credit card. That's probably a lot harder.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. So can I say 3 things? So first of all, I talked about words being connected to the concrete physical reality. One of my idols is our Buckminster Fuller, one of the true geniuses of the 20th century, who is totally underappreciated, but I predict will ultimately be incredibly famous. And he invented geodesic domes, among many other things. He had a crisis where his world fell apart when he was in his early 30s. And when he came out of that crisis, and I don't want to take time on the video to really go into it in detail, but when he came out of that crisis, he realized that he would repeat things as if they were true, when he didn't really know if they were true or not. He just said them because someone else said them. And he didn't feel comfortable with that. So he decided he was only going to speak about things that he actually experienced, things that came before his senses. And he found the habit of repeating things as true as if they were true when he didn't really know if they were true or not, was so ingrained that he stopped talking and he took a 1-year vow of silence. Because when he started talking, he wanted to be sure that he only talked directly from his own experience. And after that is when he started making the discoveries and creating the stuff that made him internationally famous and put him in the history books. So that's, to me, a very inspirational story. And I especially think about that today because we go around saying this and that, and especially in our political discourse, and we do a lot of repeating stuff as if it's true, when we don't really know if it's true or not. That's really up for us as a culture and a species right now. So speaking directly from your own physical concrete experience is one of the ways that words have power. So the second thing, that's one. The second thing is that how we describe our world and how we interpret what's before our senses. To do that in an observational language, which is one of the cornerstones of Marshall Rosenberg's teaching, that we are aware of what we're observing without judgment, analysis, criticism, diagnosis, and simply recording that this is what I'm perceiving at this moment, is incredibly empowering. It's incredibly empowering because it gives us a moment to notice what's going on before all of the emotional reaction or judgment or story about whether it's right or wrong comes in. So being able to use words in a way that describe rather than define is another incredibly liberating, potent way that words have power. The third thing is that words are more than just sounds moving through our larynx. They are expressions a phenomenal intelligence. No other animal on this planet uses words like we do. We couldn't have the civilization we have without words. We couldn't have the deep, lifelong relationships that we have without words. They are the more, even more, Prometheus got in trouble for giving humans the secret of fire. If you go back to the Greek myths, and the secret of fire has really been influential in us building civilization. But even more powerful than that is our ability to use words. And so when we use words with consciousness and we connect them to our core being, so they're expressing the reality that we experience, then their potency is phenomenal. So it's not just an utterance through the larynx, it's connected to our being. So within our words are encoded our feelings, are encoded our intentions, our aspirations, our fears, and our fundamental assumptions about the way the world works. That's why there's a whole industry devoted to affirmations, playing with structures of words and the emotional intensity we put behind words, because they can have a very potent impact on our reality. So first of all, being conscious of the fact that words have power, being conscious of what we are saying, and then being observational so that there's a part of us that's aware of what we're saying, that doesn't necessarily believe or disbelieve it, simply notices it, and then verifies that, looks at the experiences we're having and see how that lines up with what it is that we say, is just so, I just can't even say. I've already said how powerful this is. I feel like I'm a broken record that's repeating myself, like I'm a broken record that's repeating itself, like I'm a broken record. And see, so I elicited some laughter there. So it's just being conscious of what we say, and the fact that we even do say is one of the fundamental principles of self-empowerment. And so words have tremendous power. So, yeah, I want you to talk. I think I have one other thing to say, but I want to hand it back to you.
Well, I definitely believe that this is true. I know it's true. So I don't have any questions around that in my own mind. I still have questions around how we begin to transition into this, let's say, more consciousness about our language and how to change it in such a way that we bring about what we are actually longing for. So for example, if there was something, because I remember one event had to do with a plane ticket, and that cost about $330, and I said, I don't have that kind of money. And the funny thing was that after I got done having the conversation with someone and got into my car and drove away, I'm like, wow, I just sent this incredibly powerful affirmation into the world, and that was not what I wanted to affirm.
And the affirmation was, I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
You're that universe. I don't have that kind of money. Remember, I don't have that kind of money. Whatever you're doing, remember, keep in mind, I don't have that kind of money.
Well, see, that wasn't what I wanted, though, right?
Yeah, you were acting out of habit. There was an embedded pattern that was core in your being, that was expressing itself in that moment. And it had power because it was embedded in your beliefs and had intentionality behind it. And then you were aware of it.
Yeah, but the thing is,
we couldn't be having this conversation if you hadn't become aware of it. That's a huge accomplishment.
I agree.
Pat yourself on the back before you say anything else.
Oh, all right. He always makes me do that.
All right. Okay. Now you can say whatever you want to say. That is, it's a big accomplishment.
Yeah. Yeah. It is true. To be able to recognize when you're making those kind of affirmations and setting intentions into the universe, that isn't really what you want. It is important when you finally see it. So the question that I have is, how do we see it more? And two, how do we begin to change it? Because that's the hardest thing is, if you look at your bank account and you say, all righty, so that thing's going to cost $330 and I don't actually see it in my bank. So how do we change the way we talk about it? If we want to speak in a way that will actually begin to set intentionality and manifest and affirm the reality that we are truly longing for.
Well, one thing you could do is you could get delusional and trick yourself into thinking that you have a deposit coming in that's not really coming in, but assuming that you already have it before you even do have it, and go out and try to spend the $330 and bounce some checks and then blame the universe and blame the bank and blame the person that didn't come through.
I don't think that's what we want, David.
It's common.
Some
it's
people,
very common. That's
some people
very
do.
common.
They choose that path, but that's not quite what we're looking for here.
So another thing we can do is we can say, wow, my core well-being does not depend on that plane ticket. So here's the money in my account. Here's what I want to do. How attached to the outcome am I? How much distress am I going to cause myself? How much am I going to feel oppressed by the discrepancy between what I perceive should be and what actually is? And learning how to be comfortable with what actually is one of the fundamental liberating steps, not being attached to outcome. So, having said all of that, and did we do a video yet on all outcomes are equal?
No, we've touched on it, but we haven't done a full video on it.
Coming soon to your computer screen or smartphone, all outcomes are equal. But for today, so another way to, and one of the things I do, so if you want to get technical, I take a phrase like, I don't have that kind of money. And if I catch myself doing it, I will add the phrase right now to the end of it, rather than making it an absolute proclamation. Mm-hmm. I don't have that kind of money. It's like, I don't have that kind of money right now, but who knows about tomorrow? Mm-hmm. So that's and I do that a lot. If I catch myself saying something that I perceive as limiting, I say for now, or in this moment, or right now, to really underscore the fact it's a temporary state of being. The other thing that I do in terms of power and language is I am very conscious of what I follow the phrase I am with. I used to say I am tired. I now make a very conscious, I very consciously, and it took me over a year to basically eradicate that phrase from my own internal dialogue. And so now I will say I feel tired, or there is fatigue in my body. But I try very hard to, and I'm not perfect at it, to follow the phrase I am without any kind of definition and simply leave it at I am. And when I want to describe what's going on in my world, instead of saying I'm overwhelmed, I'll say, wow, there are a lot of tasks before me, or I've got a lot to do, and it looks overwhelming at the moment. And so that's a very powerful practice, is to be very conscious of what you follow the phrase I am with. And you're looking at me intently.
Yeah, well, there was.
I love it when she looks at me intently sometimes. Sometimes it scares me, but I still love it.
Well, there was something, because I got caught in the paradox about letting go of outcome and following through on meeting some need, you know, especially when it's deeply held. Because we, you know, if we get caught up in semantics, then we can say, well, why are we even bothering to do this program? Why not just, like, you know, be at peace with what is, and okay, so I'm a slug on a rug, then I'm going to spend the rest of my life that way because I am not attached to outcome.
Oh, that is such a great question. That is such a great question. You know, if you want to be a slug on a rug, I'm not going to stand between you and that fate, just so you know.
Mm.
And so you talk about a need. So maybe the need is self-sufficiency. Let's pick that one.
Okay, that's a good one.
Or self-reliance. Maybe self-reliance, because Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote a very famous essay called Self-Reliance.
Well, see, the thing is, for me, it's even more specific than that. It's to be self-supporting through my own creative work, what I would call my heart work, self-supporting through my heart work.
Right.
At a level that is comfortable.
So needs are very simple.
Mm.
Boil that down to 3 words.
Self-supporting, comfort,
okay,
and creative expression.
Okay, so you want self-support,
mm-hmm.
comfort,
mm-hmm.
and creative expression.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
I can already think of 10 ways that could manifest. Any one of them would be fine. Mm-hmm. An outcome is when we try to make the manifestation form a certain pattern. So
I think we need to distinguish what it means to be attached to outcome, because and I actually chose the story about the plane ticket is true, and that was so many years ago. I don't even remember how many years ago it was. So I'm glad that I've hopefully made a little bit of progress since then. I don't scream out at the universe anymore. I don't think so. But anyway,
so say that with more. That was very timid.
Uh-huh.
We say that in an affirmational, strong way about the progress you've made over the decades. Okay. I mean, really do it.
Yeah, I have made progress over the decades. I definitely have. But I chose that dollar amount, $330, because there is an upcoming workshop. It's Sarah Payton is coming to town March 17th and 18th for an intensive week-long workshop. And the early bird fee is $330, and that lasts through February 9th. So there's an outcome that I have a preference for, but I think it is important to distinguish what we mean when we say attachment to outcome. Does it mean that I will be, that I will fall into depression and disillusionment if for some reason my life doesn't manifest such that I'm at that workshop? No, I don't think that has to be the case. But at the same time, if we live in this linear space-time continuum, then time is linear, and because we live in this space-time continuum, we have to plan. It's just part of living in the space-time continuum. And so, I'm thinking, okay, I would like to be at that workshop, and I know the date. I've put it on my calendar, and there's a certain dollar amount, that transaction that needs to happen by a certain date. And so I wanted that to happen. And then I looked at my bank account and I saw that because I've had some large expenses lately, that the money that I wanted to access for that workshop was not in my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it doesn't mean I have to be depressed. See, to me, being attached to your outcome means I have a story about my life is ruined and I can't go on without this thing. No, it doesn't have to be like that at all. But that doesn't mean that I can't have a desire, a longing, for this particular thing to manifest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think actually it's essential, because you have to, if you want to make things happen, you have to get up. I make lists every single day, because I have to know what needs to get done. Like I'm in a MFA program, and the professor actually gave us a 23-page document that goes through every single assignment that is due. That means every single reading that needs to be done, every single post that needs to be made, every single paper. I mean, like, the 23 pages of everything that's due for the semester. So the nice thing about that, and with clear deadlines, so the nice thing about that is I can manage my time. I can say, okay, I need to do this on such and such day, and on this on such and such day, because I would like to get an A, and I would like to graduate the program, because from my perspective, I wouldn't be investing the money and the time and the effort if I didn't want those outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, that doesn't mean you have to slit your throat if it doesn't work out,
So I have a proposal. Let's do a cliffhanger, because you're getting into a different topic, from my opinion, which is focus, which is another topic we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So, because to me that doesn't directly fit into words have power. It's related, but it doesn't directly fit. Mm-hmm. And that's, we don't want this to be a 1-hour video. Mm-hmm. People have requested, please don't make 1-hour videos. It's too long. So I'd say we do the third video for the week on integrity, okay, on focus, and talk about that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Because right now we're talking about integrity and words having power. So, for example, an example of words having power, I really feel a sense of comfort when I'm working with someone and they say they're going to do something, and I have confidence that it will happen. Mm. That gives security, that makes my reality stable. There are people who I work with who say they will do something, and I'm skeptical, because from past experience, they get distracted, they do other stuff, they don't think it through, it's more work than they realize, and they can't really make it happen. I remember one time coming out of a construction meeting, I was helping a credit union build a new computer room. And one of the guys that was there, and at the time I was in my 40s and he was in his 60s, kind of like now I'm in my 60s and I don't even know if he's still alive. But he said, well, that was a really good meeting. We'll see who's really going to do what they say they're going to do, because people love to talk in meetings like that. Mm-hmm. And you learn that some people will do it and others won't. Mm-hmm. And so part of integrity is to say what you mean and mean what you say, and not, there's a skill involved in that, in learning to think things through and not just saying something because it'll make someone happy in the moment, but say it because there's something solid and real within you that it's a reflection of. So that's the other thing I wanted to say about that. And so I was given, when I was working with credit unions, I was given very trusted assignments. Very trusted assignments. And it's because people knew I didn't gossip. They knew I could keep secrets. They knew I would do what I said I could do. Mm-hmm. And if I couldn't do it, I would say I can't do it. And so I was trusted with a lot. And that's integrity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's power as well.
Oh, absolutely, mm-hmm. Power. Mm-hmm. It went right into my checkbook. Because it was credit unions.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So we will bring this to a close, and we'll explore this topic tomorrow, because I think actually it ties all the way back to week 1 when Julie Cameron was talking about affirmations and the things that we say to ourselves. It does matter. Our internal language and our external language does matter. It does create a reality one way or another. So we will come back to this. And also what I think is interesting is the fact that I have laid this out very concretely, very specifically. It will be interesting to see what happens, since this program is 84 days. That will include, bring us up to not only that February 9th date, but also the March 17th and 18th date. So then we can see, how did this story turn out? I'm looking forward to finding out myself. All right. So we're going to bring this to a close. Ready? All right.
I'm ready.
Okay. So that means please subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. Ring the bell for notifications. Click like to this video. Put your comments in the boxes below. We love to hear what you have to say. And please share on your social media and with your friends and family, because we are really trying to build a community. Thanks. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.